number 10 of our Disney Urban Legends, Walt Disney haunts Disneyland, California. Walt Disney opened the original Disneyland in 1955 and he loved the place. In fact, saying he loved the place is a huge understatement. He doted on the place. He spent the majority of his time there until his death in 1966. Walt had an apartment above the fire station on Main Street. When he was in residence, it was said he always kept a lamp burning in the window so everyone knew he was there. When he died, the lamp was switched off. Eerily though, it seemed that the lamp would have a way of turning itself back on. One day, a staff member was cleaning the apartment when she heard a voice that said, "I'm still here." From that day on, Disney's lamp has kept on burning in the window as a mark of respect and acknowledgement for his ghost.
In our 9th spot, we have Chainmail Mickey. Legend goes that a haunted picture of Mickey used to circulate the internet in the form of a chainmail. The chainmail is apparently cursed, and once you start reading it, then you are cursed, unless you send it to 5 friends. Well guys, I read it, so looks like I'm cursed now. And apparently if you don't forward the email, then at 12 AM the same night, this Mickey Mouse will come into your room and slice you open and rip out your eyes. So I'll let you know how that goes. If I don't make it, you know what happened to me. Then, like any chainmail, it goes on to talk about Mickey's victims who didn't do as they were told and got murdered as a result. Like Tommy. Well, Tommy only forwarded this to 4 people, and at midnight he saw this Mickey Mouse standing with blood dripping from his mouth while holding a knife. And there are countless other children that have apparently seen this letter, ignored its message, and then ended up mysteriously disappearing or dying. In our 8th spot, we have Cursed Mickey. Legend goes that there are a collection of creepy images of Mickey Mouse that are supposedly cursed. Apparently, if you see these photos, you will feel disoriented, uncomfortable, and anxious. Some of these photos include a disheveled and dirty looking Mickey hiding in an unfinished basement, a killer wearing a Mickey Mouse mascot head, and an image of Mickey Mouse with blood spewing from its eyes and mouth. Other people believe that if you view these images for too long, then Mickey Mouse will constantly haunt you in your dreams until the day you die. It's not very nice. Shame on you. In our 7th spot, we have Mickey's Slaughterhouse. Legend goes that one day a group of friends were watching Disney Junior as a joke when a disturbing episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse aired. The episode was about Minnie's picnic, and everyone was getting ready to attend the event. That's when it takes a dark turn. Mickey and Goofy enter the clubhouse and open the closet to reveal Pete's mangled body shoved in it. His legs were completely gone and he had bite marks all over his body. They then carry Pete to another room. In this room, a bunch of other characters in similar conditions were hung up. Pete was then added to that collection. That's when the friends turned off the TV. They were so disturbed they just couldn't watch anymore. I kind of wanted to see how it ended. Coming in at number 6, we have the Funhouse. Apparently, there's a really deadly Mickey Mouse themed funhouse. Legend goes that at a local fair, a little boy was wandering around a Mickey Mouse funhouse. It was pretty normal until he came across a weird Mickey Mouse statue that seemed out of place. This one was more frightening than the rest. It had sharp teeth and evil glowing eyes. He goes to touch the statue when it moves and grabs him. The mouse drags him into a spot behind the mirror maze. Behind there was also Minnie Mouse and Pluto. Both of them were holding a kid of their own. However, the kids were dead. All the kids were boys with blonde hair and blue eyes. Thankfully, this boy did manage to escape before they killed him too. But when the authorities were alerted, Mickey and his friends and the children were nowhere to be found. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the abandoned Disney. According to this legend, there is an abandoned Disney park where terrifying things happen. The narrator says that he decided to one day explore this abandoned park. It was filled with broken souvenirs and eerie noises. While exploring the park, he came across a door that said mascots only. This is where true terror awaits. The room was filled with a bunch of mascot suits hanging on the wall. He decided to take the head off the Donald Duck costume and a human skull tumbled out of it. But that's not all. In the middle of the room was a Mickey Mouse costume. He tried to take a picture of it, but that's when the mascot gets up and says, "Want to see me take off my head?" He then pulls his head off and yellow blood pours out from his neck. The narrator runs out of the park and the sign that used to say "Abandoned by Disney" now read "Abandoned by God." Making our way down the list, number 4, we have the Lost episode. The Lost episode was titled Mickey's Best Friend. It was a 10-minute cartoon that was shown in theaters on November 15th, 1929. In this episode, Mickey befriends an anthropomorphic dog named Eustace. Mickey becomes a little obsessed with Eustace, and a bunch of residents in the town try to warn Eustace. Eustace eventually decides to leave this town, as it's not a place that he can see himself settling down in. But Mickey takes this very badly. He doesn't want his new best friend to just abandon him. So he knocks him out with a rock and drags him to his basement. The next scene shows Eustace strapped down to an operating table. Eventually, Mickey conducts an experiment on Eustace, which causes him to become a regular dog loyal to Mickey. He can no longer talk. The scene ends with Mickey telling him that from now on, he will be referred to as Pluto. Wow. That's a dark episode. In our third spot, we have the kidnapping. Legend goes that on November 24th, 2005, something happened at Disneyland that changed the lives of some forever. The day started out fine until a boy named James went missing. Then a couple hours later, another boy by the name Ronnie went missing. As a result, security started reviewing footage in search of the boys. Then one kid came forward saying he saw Ronnie. He said, "I saw Ronnie. He was with Mickey Mouse." But Mickey was being mean to him. Mickey took Ronnie. And the kid was right. The security guard ended up finding footage of Mickey Mouse taking both the kids towards a maintenance room door near Space Mountain. Upon investigating the room, he saw that the room was littered with children's bodies. All of the kids that had gone missing in the park over the years. And right in the middle of the room was James and Ronnie. But that wasn't all. Mickey Mouse was also there. He laid hunched over the kids. In our second spot, we have the dark side. Legend surrounds a young girl named Abby who was a worker for Disney World. Since she was one of the newer workers, she got assigned to do some pretty bad tasks. One day, she was assigned to change the light bulbs over at River Country Park. Now, River Country Park was the first water park at Walt Disney World, but it's now abandoned. However, they still keep the lights on at the park. Some say it's to preserve the remaining magic. Well, anyways, a bunch of bulbs were out, so she and another worker went by after work to replace them. However, when they got there, all of the lights were out. Thinking that something was wrong with the circuit, the one worker went to the employee hut to investigate. But what he found was quite disturbing. While at the hut, he heard Mickey Mouse's high-pitched laugh. He turned around to see Abby standing behind him wearing a Mickey Mouse mascot head. Except the head was missing an eye, had lake water dripping from the fur, and a bite was taking out of the mouse's jaw. Abby began to tilt her head to the side and blood trickled down her neck. He tried to rip the head off of her, but the Mickey Mouse head hissed and foam started pouring out from under her head. Eventually, he got it off of her. She lay there white and clammy. That's when she said, "Help us." From that moment, Abby was never the same. Something or someone sucked the soul out of her body. And in our number one spot, we have the Mickey Mouse secret. This legend was posted by the Reddit user ByFellsDisciples. He claims that he was a worker for Disney and he almost got killed from finding out a deadly secret. So this man's name was Sid and he was a janitor for Disney. One day he was underground in the tunnels taking his break. For those of you who haven't seen my other video, Walt Disney created a whole underground tunnel system for the characters to have a break and to secretly get to other locations in the park without having to like walk everywhere in costume. This is all to just preserve the magical feel of Disney. So Sid was taking his break when a costume Mickey Mouse came into the lounge and just sat opposite to him, staring at him. Sid ignored it at first, but he thought it was weird because the workers usually can't wait to rip the costumes off of them. But the mouse just sat there and stared at him. That's when he blinked. Like, not the actor in the costume, the mouse itself. Sid ran out of the room as fast as he could, but was stopped by security and a weird man in a fedora. That's when they offered Sid a vacation to Europe. Sid accepted, thinking that he had just been working too hard and was experiencing hallucinations. However, on his trip, he realized that all the other people on his tours had a connection to Disney. Clearly, Disney sent them on this trip for a reason. As a result, he stopped going on the tours. And it was a good thing that he did. A couple days later, a bridge collapsed and killed everyone on that tour group. Disneyland is hiding something and wanted to take out everyone who knew about it. Starting off this countdown, we have Mickey Mouse got sued. It was believed that back in 2010, a woman sued the actor who played Mickey Mouse at Disney because he was apparently acting inappropriately. They claimed that Mickey was picking up children and swinging them around in a tight hug, hurting the child. Of course, this isn't real. However, in 1990, the actor who dressed up as Winnie the Pooh was accused of slapping a young girl. During the trial, the actor showed up in the costume for a portion of it to prove that he has limited mobility of his arms and didn't intentionally mean to hit the girl. Apparently he just turned around and her hand clipped the Mickey ears she was wearing. And in 2004, Tigger was sued. And in 2008, Donald Duck was sued, but never Mickey Mouse.
Coming in at number 9, there are real skeletons on Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So according to legend, real human skeletons are used throughout the Pirates of the Caribbean rides, and this is exactly what Walt Disney ordered. I guess this kind of makes riding on the scary themed log ride even spookier, knowing that you're surrounded by actual skeletons. Some people even say that Walt Disney's own skeleton is hidden amongst the bodies on the ride. Now I actually do know the truth behind this creepy urban legend. Like most stories that have been passed down over the years, there is some truth to it. When the ride first opened in 1967, 1 year after Disney's death, fake skeletons looked pretty rubbish, well, like pretty fake. So in the planning and building stage, Walt Disney wanted real skeletons to be used. He never got to see the finished product, but true to his wishes, real skeletons were indeed used. Eventually though, they were replaced. Not only was it kind of morbid to have a bunch of dead people on a Disney ride, fake skeletons started looking a lot better. Now the only real human skull that exists is on the headboard of a bed at Disney World in Florida. This is really weird because on this ride they never had fully human skeletons anyway, like in California, so. Also Disney are telling us that they're now fake skeletons, but who knows? Coming into number 8, there is a ghost hitchhiker on Space Mountain. Legend has it that a red-haired man who died on the ride still enjoys a spin today. The man, often dubbed Mr. One Way, is said to have died in the 1970s whilst on the attraction. It is said that he sits next to single riders, but by the time the ride ends, there is absolutely no sign of him. For those that don't see him, they say they can feel him behind them if there is an empty seat at the back. There have been a number of reports of the hitcher, and he may or may not have been caught on camera a couple of times. Check this out. Coming into number 7, we have the mysterious urban legend of Mowgli's Palace. So this is kind of an urban legend creepypasta surrounding an abandoned Disney attraction. Redditor Slimebeast, aka Christopher Howard Wolf, wrote a post about an illicit visit to the grounds of a defunct Disney theme park in Northern Carolina. So allegedly, Disney wanted to open a Jungle Book resort in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. From the very beginning, it seemed to be fraught with issue. The locals did not want Disney to buy the land. Nonetheless, it was bought and primed for opening, when all of a sudden, the project just stopped. The park was closed, employees were dismissed, the whole place was shut up and hushed up. According to the urban legend, a dude goes to explore, camera in hand. He finds the place in a state of expected disarray. He finds the words "abandoned by Disney" graffitied in a number of areas. Eventually, the intrepid explorer finds staff areas and deduces that the place was not just simply abandoned, it was evacuated. It is then the explorer finds mascot costumes. The only thing is, they're actually alive. Or, it seems that they were. The costumes have skeletons inside of them. As the explorer tries to escape, he said a Mickey Mouse chased him. While there have been some alleged aerial images posted of the secret park, it turns out that it's just a really scary creepypasta. There is actually an abandoned Disney water park that you can still visit if you're an urban explorer these days, but I'm presuming that none of the mascots are alive and running amok there. Coming into number 6, we have the legend of the sacrificed Snow White. A story submitted on Reddit 4 years ago really gives me the chills. Posted in the No Sleep subreddit, Redditor Bletch1994 shared his experience of working for the Magic Kingdom. Upvoted over 2,000 times, the poster kept his real name anonymous. He said that 99% of all the work at Walt Disney World goes on after the show is over. He was working construction on the park for a while, mainly working on the Seven Dwarfs Mine train ride, which was set to open up. Long Reddit story short, the guy said that a lot of the crew were very sketchy about being alone in various places. They had to take their lunch breaks at 3 AM, and one day the guy forgot his lunch bag and headed back to get it. But he stumbled across what can only be described as a sacrificial cult scene. Robed figures were crowded around a Snow White character who was bound, gagged, and crying. The guy said a half moon was carved into her forehead and she was cut by the figures. The guy basically said he was so freaked out that he turned and ran. man. Now the next day he told his older foreman what he had seen. This man had worked at the park for nearly 4 decades. The foreman told him that he had seen a lot of this kind of thing in his time at Disney, and that the land was brought from a lot of groups who required special payment in the form of blood sacrifices. He urged the construction worker to never discuss what he'd seen, mentioning that the executives at Club 33 were more powerful than he could ever imagine. Now he finishes the Reddit post by saying that he quit right there on the spot. Good. Coming into number 5, we have the legend of the platform D Bellhop on the Tower of Terror. In 2007, Walt Disney's Hollywood Studios Tower of Terror took its final plunge, but what will happen to the ghost of the bellhop said to haunt the Twilight Zone? Legend has it that one of Disney's cast members who operated the ride as a bellhop dropped dead one day on their shift. The Tower of Terror has 4 elevators: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie and Delta. The bellhop died on platform Delta as he loaded guests onto the attraction. Now it seems that the man may never have actually clocked out for his shift. Disney cast members test the rides before they open to the public, and some have reported someone else sitting with them on the elevator when testing from Delta. There have been pictures of a ghost-like figure sitting in the back of the ride. Now again, a photo was taken after hours on the tower, and some people have spotted a truly ghostly figure. The ride is currently being torn down to make way for a Marvel attraction, so who knows what will happen to the ghost. Perhaps it will make him angry. This is a very popular one at number 4. Disney is cryogenically frozen. So I don't really know where this one comes from, but a lot of people seem to believe it. When the topic of freezing comes up, a lot of people cite Walt Disney as a main contender. Disney died of lung cancer in December of 1966, aged just 65. The urban legend seems to come from a comment made by the president of the California Cryogenic Society in the 1970s. Bob Nelson told the LA Times that Walt Disney wanted to be frozen. This led to Disney's daughter Diana making a public statement to target the claims. She said, "There is absolutely no truth to the rumor that my father, Walt Disney, wished to be frozen. So if he had been frozen and we eventually found a cure for lung cancer, a whole new generation could enjoy Disney movies." I wonder how it would feel to be woken up after 50 years of being frozen. I guess ask Austin Powers. Again, we have a very popular urban legend at number 3. Disney used mind control on kids watching his movies because the Illuminati told him to do so. There have been so many Disney conspiracy theories out there that Walt Disney wanted to turn kids into sex-crazed teenagers. Movies including Aladdin, The Lion King, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Ariel the Little Mermaid and The Rescuers have all been accused of trying to brainwash kids with non-PG content. So-called truth seekers have tried to expose Disney for his sexual content, saying there is sex written in the sky in The Lion King, that the genie in Aladdin tells teenagers to take off their clothes, and of course there's some classic Jessica Rabbit vajay. Some say that Disney wanted to sexualize children from a young age as the Illuminati wanted them to be targets of abuse. Disney's Club 33 has also been amid paedophile ring claims, but we'll get to that later. I personally don't know about this one, but I don't know, maybe the urban legend is true and we're all sex crazed because we watched Pocahontas once. Coming in at number 2, urban legend has it that the It's a Small World dolls move and switch places. I think we can all agree that the It's a Small World ride is pretty creepy. It just is. Tiny dolls scare me at the best of times, but singing tiny dolls? La! It's also one of the oldest Disney attractions, which somehow to me makes the whole thing creepier. Anyway, legend has it that the dolls come alive when no one is looking. How do we know? Well, it seems they have often been found in switch positions. Employees at Disney have mentioned it on several occasions, with many way too freaked out to go near the ride. Some even go as far as to say the dolls keep singing after hours. Author Ridley Pearson is one of the more high-profile people who swears he saw the doll move. He was on a VIP after hours tour and is convinced that they have a life of their own. How can they keep singing when the electricity's been shut off? I don't know. Clearly they're evil. I think I can tell that by looking at their creepy little doll faces though. Ah! I wonder what happens if you play It's a Small World backwards. I bet it's like, take off your clothes, teenagers once again. The genie's anything to go by. Finally, coming into number 1 of our top 10 creepy Disney urban legends, we have Club 33 is the Illuminati Headquarters. There have been a lot of links between Walt Disney and the Illuminati. Loads. When Walt Disney was alive, many people accused him of being part of the Freemasons, a group that is constantly linked to the Illuminati. There definitely seems to be something shifty going on at Club 33, the exclusive clubhouse in Disneyland, California. It is the only place in Disneyland that serves alcohol. It actually seems that these days, clubhouses exist across all of the parks. Officially, the original club was intended for use by Disneyland's corporate sponsors and industry VIPs. Now, the original location is somewhat hidden in New Orleans Square, and you can only gain membership by invite. Paul McCartney and Elton John are said to be members, although a lot of people are totally convinced that something very suspicious and culty is going on behind those doors. Remember the Snow White point from earlier on in the video? Like, maybe these are the people slashing up Disney characters for some kind of blood sacrifice. I don't know, for me, this is definitely just an urban legend.
Starting off this countdown, we have Halloween night. This legend surrounds a young woman who was giving out Halloween candy for the trick-or-treaters. When she was handing out candy to one batch of kids, she noticed a tall man wearing a Mickey Mouse mascot costume standing on her stairs. She thought that it was one of the kids' fathers. She told him that she liked his costume, commenting on how expensive it must have been. When she was done, she went back inside and waited for another group of trick-or-treaters. When she opened the door the second time, there was another group of kids, but the same man was still on her steps. It looked like he didn't move an inch. Then there was another knock on the door. This time, the man was even closer to her door. She immediately went back inside and called the cops. However, when she went to the kitchen, the man was now standing on her back porch. His head was pressed against the window and he was holding a knife. When the police arrived, they found the costume, but no man. That same night, it was said that a killer escaped police custody and stole the costume so that he could use it to get to his next victims. Coming in at number 9, we have the fainting Mickey. It is no doubt that wearing those heavy, bulky costumes in the blazing sun and heat can take a toll on the actors' bodies. This urban legend states that one time Mickey Mouse actually fainted at the park and collapsed directly on a child. However, this has never happened. I mean, it is said that back in the 1960s, the actors had to wear those costumes for hours before having a break. But now they can only be in the sun for 30 minutes, and some even wear vests that are filled with ice packs to prevent them from overheating. It is said that costumes can weigh up to 47 pounds, and in 2005 there were 282 costume-related injuries. So the possibility of an actor passing out on a hot day definitely doesn't surprise me. In our 8th spot, we have the real Mickey Mouse. This urban legend states that at the peak of his fame, Walt Disney himself would go around the park dressed up in a Mickey Mouse costume. That way, he would be able to enjoy the park without being swarmed by families. I mean, that would be pretty cool if you got to meet him and you didn't even know it. But it was also a way for him to gather intel from those families. So in a way, he was using his Mickey Mouse costume to spy on others. Like, just imagine him walking up and just Mickey listening to people's conversations. I mean, thankfully, this is just a legend, but I bet some workers at Disney have definitely heard and witnessed some pretty interesting things. In our 7th spot, we have the potty mouth Mickey. I mean, I'm sure it can be super tough to interact with those kids and adults and not be able to talk, like only using gestures all the time. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I'd have to put tape on my mouth, or else I would just be responding to all the questions they ask. Or if they're like, say hello, I'd be like, oh, hi, dang, you know? Or if they're like, okay, we're gonna take a photo, 1, 2, 3, say cheese, I'd just be like, cheese, shoot, you know? Now, this urban legend dates back to the early 2000s, and an employee who played Mickey was fired after repeatedly swearing at the children. It said that he would even secretly whisper profanities to the children while taking photos. Then the children would go throughout their day and repeat the swear words. Apparently, this worker just hated his job and was trying to get back at the park by damaging its reputation. Again, it's just a legend. The park is still the cheery place that we love. Making our way down the list at number 6, we have Suicide Mouse. Now, I know I've talked about this before, but let me go more in depth. Basically, there's an urban legend out there of a lost episode of Mickey Mouse titled suicidemouse.avi. Now, this is a real video. You can see it on YouTube. Some people believe that it's fan-made. Others believe the actual origin of it. So let me describe the video. It's a black and white video that starts off with Mickey just, you know, casually walking along a street. This goes on for 3 minutes until the video fades to black. They thought that was it. But later on, a full version of this video was found. It picks up where the other video left off. This time, sounds of static fill the screen and Mickey reappears. Now, this time his expression has changed and he looks more terrified. He continues to walk along and sounds of distorted voices can be heard in the background. It almost sounds like people are yelling in pain. It's quite disturbing. As the video progresses, you can see Mickey getting more and more terrified. His eyes go completely white and the voices in the background get more menacing. There's even a woman you can hear screaming as if she's being tortured. Then the background changes and Mickey is in like a broken down, scary looking neighborhood. The screaming intensifies and Mickey has a look of sheer panic on his face and he just starts picking up the pace. The video ends with Mickey running and then killing himself by injection. The last thing that appears on the screen is Russian writing that says, "The sights of hell bring its viewers back in." Don't know what that means and I don't want to know. So where did this video come from? Well, legend has it that the film critic Leonard Maltin found it while looking through episodes of Mickey Mouse to include in a Walt Disney Treasures DVD set. When he came across it, he was so disturbed that he couldn't finish watching it all. And obviously, the episode didn't make the cut. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the banned episode. So apparently there was a television episode of Mickey Mouse that got banned because it tackled more mature subject matter. In this video, it is said that Mickey catches Minnie cheating on him with none other than Donald Duck. As a result, Mickey then tries to get back at Donald and Minnie by setting up elaborate traps to try and harm them. But they never succeed since Goofy always sets them off and he gets hurt instead of them. The episode progresses with Mickey kidnapping Daisy to get revenge on Donald and then trying to kill himself using multiple different methods. But there is no video footage of this episode. It's just all a story from someone who claims that they saw it on TV before it got banned and permanently erased from history. In our 4th spot, we have the death of Mickey Mouse. This urban legend suggests that one of the actors that played Mickey Mouse at Disneyland committed suicide after being overwhelmed from working there. Mickey Mouse is basically Disney's main mascot. So people are constantly swarming that character. And it has to be hard to stay in character all day in a heavy suit with poor ventilation. You also are faced with screaming and crying kids and rude parents all day. It was a very physically and mentally demanding job. Well, this all got to one of the employees and it's said that he ended up taking his own life as a result. Legend states that his dead body was found in his house with a note by a pair of Mickey ears. The note read, "The mouse kills." Creepy. Taking our way down the list at number 3, we have the kidnapped children. A couple of years ago, a really terrifying image made its way around the internet. Basically, it's a photo of someone in a dirty old Mickey Mouse costume in a dark basement. Mickey is seen just lurking around the corner. Well, thanks to this photo, this next urban legend came to life. Basically, it said that this scary-looking Mickey lurks somewhere around the grounds of Disney World Park. But he isn't an actor or worker of Disney. In fact, he's just a creep that got this costume so he can easily trespass on the park. He then uses his costume to lure kids down to the basement. From there, he keeps the children as his prisoners, locked away. But thankfully, this is just an urban legend. And there isn't a creepy Mickey stalking the park. But what makes matters worse is a video surfaced the internet of someone in a Mickey Mouse costume trying to kidnap a kid at a fast food restaurant. So it made this urban legend seem very much real. In our 2nd spot, we have the underground tunnels. Now, I didn't know this, but under Disney World, there is a complex tunnel system. The tunnels cover up to 9 acres. They have dressing rooms down there, cafeteria, and break rooms. Basically, it's a way for the characters to have a break without ruining the magical feel of Disney. It also allows them to get around the park without having to walk everywhere in costume. Now, the scary aspect of this is what really goes on down there. There are multiple legends surrounding the activities that go on down there, from the characters doing drugs to sexual activities or even kidnapping naughty children and holding them down there as hostages. Or even it's said that when someone passes away on a ride, their body is taken down there and hidden so that word doesn't spread. They want to maintain their family-friendly image. And in our number 1 spot, we have the trapped Mickey. So this is another theory surrounding the underground tunnels. Now, it is said that the tunnel system is very complex and it's very big. The characters are often driven around in golf carts to get them around faster. Well, legend surrounds a worker who apparently got lost in the tunnel system. So legend goes that a young man was a new worker to the team. He was one of the actors who got to dress up and play Mickey Mouse. Well, on the first day of his job, the other actors apparently decided to haze him, as they did to all new workers. As a result, they locked him in the tunnel system after his shift late at night. He was left in the tunnels all night in the complete dark. And of course, being new, he had no clue how to get around the tunnels. As a result, he spent the night wandering in the dark, hungry, trying to escape. When they found him in the morning, he was driven completely mad, with deep self-inflicted scratches all over his body. Of course, this never happened, and it's just a really creepy legend.